Hey guys, so I just wanted to take a minute to, I guess this will be like a life update video. As you guys have noticed, I've been staying at my sister's house, and yeah, I got a couple questions as to why, and I feel like it's something that should be talked about. But I didn't really know like what to say about it, or like what people would want to know, or maybe what they wouldn't want to know, like why is this person telling us this information, like that kind of thing. I feel like for me, throughout the whole thing, the one thing that has made me feel better about it is talking about it with close friends and family. So I thought I'd give it a try and then kind of see how it goes. I don't know if this will be just like a little tiny video or if I'll even make it through. I have no idea, so we're just gonna kind of wing it. So I don't know if I'm gonna be doing any editing, so just kind of bear with me a little bit. Normally I'm not in front of the camera. I'm in front of it, but I'm not like talking to you guys like on the camera, so it's kind of odd for me. But so a little, I guess it would be a little over 2 weeks ago, my 3 sons and I moved into my sister's house because their father, who's my boyfriend of almost 11 years, turned out to be, like, I always kind of knew he was controlling in a really kind of downplayed kind of way. But I guess as time progressed and I looked into it more and did some research, it turns out the technical term is a covert narcissist. And that sounds like, I always thought that a narcissist was like a person who was just like super full of themselves, like had a huge ego and was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Like that's like kind of what I thought a narcissist was. So back in October, I kind of, like, throughout our relationship, there's always been like heated arguments, and I always thought it was because we both kind of had the same temper, and so we just kind of clashed. But I guess in retrospect, it was me kind of sticking up for myself or trying my best to, and then it turning out to be just what he wanted was me to argue with him. And there's lots of things over the past couple weeks where I've thought about a moment or a memory, and I'm like realizing it now that I've been away from him for this amount of time, and I'm able to think on my own and really kind of evaluate things. I can kind of see it for what it was and what it is now. And it's very scary to think that after all these years, somebody had that much influence over the way that I felt and thought and lived my daily life. So I don't know if anybody knows anything about it or has experienced it themselves, but it's definitely a scary thing to think about. And it's definitely something that I'm trying to find myself again. And that's really hard, especially when I have 3 kids to think about. So I'm not really concerned with myself at this point. I'm just kind of holding it together enough for them. So I guess back in October, I had left him to go and stay at my mom's house for what I thought was a little bit of a break. And we were there for about 3 weeks, and it was really difficult. It felt like he had died and I was grieving him. And even though I know that he didn't, and that's just how strongly I was upset and I was depressed and I was just crying all the time. And after a couple weeks, I would say 2 weeks it was, I ended up getting on the phone with him, and for the very first time in those 2 weeks. And after I did, the next day we went home. Now, some people might say, like looking on the outside of this relationship, some people might say that was because we wanted to make things work, which is true. We have 3 children. We wanted to make it work. But knowing everything that I know now, it was just his way to kind of reel me back in. And I feel like if I had stayed away at that point, I wouldn't know what I know now. I wouldn't have done the research. I wouldn't have figured out the things that I'm feeling I shouldn't be feeling, and that they're caused by something. And so if I hadn't gone back in November last year, then who knows how this would have ended up. So I guess I'm a little bit glad that it worked out the way it did, because I have never been more sure that we needed to get out from under him, and that we did. And I'm thankful that my family has been there and has been supporting us and helping us along the way, and making sure that not just we have a place to stay, but that we're emotionally supported, because that's very difficult. I have a couple of best friends from high school and elementary school that have helped me tremendously. You know who you are. Thank you. And I can honestly say that if I didn't have their support every day, that there are times when I think to myself, like, sometimes he'll text me all day long saying like really sweet things and things that you would think were like really great promises, but then if you read them twice or 3 times, you realize he's like in panic mode, trying to get us to come back. And like I said, you could look at the situation and be like, oh, well, he just wants his family back. But there's a way in which he does it that if you read between the lines, you can see little jabs like, oh, like people argue and that's fine, but you always would get upset and really angry like super fast, and then I would get mad, and then you would make me say this or that. And so it would turn into like an apology, but it was really him blaming me for his behavior. And there was a lot of times where we would get in an argument about something, and I would just be completely dumbfounded by whatever he was saying. Like what are you even talking about? And then as I was doing my research, the term gaslighting had popped up. And I only know what that is because of the movie, like the really old film. And after, like, if you know what gaslighting is, it's something that if you've actually experienced, or if you've seen like a family member or a friend go through it, it's something that'll make you sick. Just to think that there are times where he would start an argument just to simply start an argument, and then we would go a week or 2 weeks just without speaking at all, and it would turn into how I would never apologize because I was such a bee. And it's like, I'm not apologizing because I didn't do anything. And he would always turn that into, he would always have to apologize. And I would always call them fake apologies, because I knew, just like deep down, I knew that he was only saying he was sorry that I made him act a certain way just to simply get the argument over with so that I wouldn't be mad at him for some reason. And I could never, like, to me, it doesn't make sense to give somebody a fake apology or to pretend like everything's fine when it's not. That really bothers me, to pretend that things are fine. I need to work through whatever I'm feeling. And so when I knew that there was a fake apology coming, I didn't understand what the point of it was. And to be put through it so many times, having just the roller coaster of like, here's like a random argument. And then a lot of times it would be because I was overly sensitive about, I don't even know what, like I didn't like the way I don't even know what, because they're like so mundane, like they're like silly things. And then when you think back on it, you're like, that wasn't even an argument. It's like one day he rearranged the dishes in the cabinet. And I mean, as you guys have noticed, I do all the dishes, I do all the cleaning. And so when I went to put things away, I was like, what's happening? And he was like, yeah, I wanted to put the dishes this way. And that's not a big deal. But to me, I was like, why? It didn't make sense. And like I said, it's like a stupid thing. And he flew off the handle and he was so mad. He was like, I can't believe you're so sensitive about where, like, I moved the dishes, I can't do anything, like. And it was just like, it's little things like that, like just like random little things. And I absolutely admit that I get upset and I get mad about stuff. And I feel like over the past few years, my anxiety level has risen, I would say tenfold, to the point now where after everything has happened right now, like even now talking about it, I feel like I can't breathe. And sometimes, not every day, but most days, I will have to step outside and just breathe. And then I catch myself just like overcome with tears and just, it's like a weird like rush of crying and then catching my breath, and it's only for a moment, but it feels like forever. And then it's over and I can just continue with the day. Like I said, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but it's hard when there's over 10 years of memories and things that you're trying to kind of file through and figure out like where it went wrong, like was it my fault? Am I a narcissist? Is it my problem? And then people keep, like my friends keep telling me that if you're wondering if you're the narcissist, if you're the problem, then you're not. And that makes sense to me, but it still doesn't stop you from wondering after all these years what happened. And it's really difficult throughout the day when I'm getting literally, like, I would show you how much, I wouldn't let you read the text messages, but you can see the colors, like the little bubbles, how often he will text my phone. Some days he won't talk to me for like 3 days, and then the next day, on the 4th day, it'll just be like boom, 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 like text, text, text over and over. And sometimes he'll call and I won't answer because after I left in October 2019 and I came back like living with him in November, after that happened, he stopped sending me text messages or leaving voicemails that weren't nice. So if we were in an argument, because like he said he was gonna run to the store really quick and he was gone the entire day and he wouldn't answer his phone, and like he told the kids he was gonna go pick up lunch or dinner, like depending on what time it was, And then he would just not answer the phone. So I'm wondering, do I need to cook dinner? Like, are you coming home? That kind of thing. And then I get to a point where I'm angry because he just took off without saying actually what he's doing. And I knew he was sneaking around it. Drinking was a huge, huge part of this problem. And when we came back, he promised that he wouldn't drink anymore. But all that he did was be way, way more secretive about it. And he had such a problem when we left that he was drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning and he was plastered by 11. But that was fine for him. He doesn't see the problem with that, or driving around in the car drinking. That's fine for him. So after it got to that point, that's part of the reason that we left in October. And then when we came back, he said he wouldn't drink anymore and he's going to do so much better. And I wanted it to work, not only for myself, but for my kids. It's something else entirely out of this world to hear your kids asked to go home when you have left your partner, when it's the only home they've ever known. They knew that things weren't right. They could feel it, obviously, in the house, like the arguing, the tension. It just wasn't a happy home. But he would love to convince you otherwise. And that's part of the thing. He'll like send me photos and he'll tell me how wonderfully happy we were and we can do this. And he can't understand why I'm doing this to our family and why I'm hurting the kids and why I'm doing this. And that's a lot after dealing with everything that I've been dealing with, and then to hear that it's all my fault. In reality, I know it's not, but that doesn't stop my mom guilt from telling me that I made a mistake, even though I know I didn't. I still need to be reminded. And I've been really having a difficult time getting, like, I think it would be a lot easier to deal with if there wasn't so much back and forth with the messages. It's like super, like, what are we gonna do? And I told him that we need to go to court to get a schedule for visitation because I don't trust him. To stick to a plan that we make between ourselves. So I told him that we need to go to court to do that, and he keeps asking me, he's like, well, I'm gonna do it. He's like, are you sure this is what you want? Like, who knows what's gonna happen or what's gonna come of it, but if that's what you want, like, he puts it all on my shoulders, like I have a choice at this point. He is not aware by any means that he got us in this position with his behavior and his actions. And I think, like, I hate to think that, like, they say that narcissists are absolutely aware of what they're doing, and I really hate to think that he knows what a mind fuck this has been. Because that's just straight up crazy if he knows what he's doing, right? So he's telling me that he's gonna file, and I was like, okay, go ahead and do that. And then, like, the next text message is, I love you so much, I'm coming up there right now with a ring, let's elope. And I'm like completely taken aback, like, what just happened? And I'm like rereading messages and trying to figure out, what did I miss? Or what did I say to make him think that that was an okay text message? And most of the time I don't respond because of that. I give very straightforward, plain answers with zero emotion because I've been watching this YouTube channel. It's called Inner Integration, and she has really great insight on all of this, and it's actually helped a lot, tremendously. And so I'm texting him bare minimum, and he's got like 20 or 30 texts in a row telling me that he's coming down here and we're going to elope, and he loves me so much, and don't let this chapter of our lives end this way. Like, and then he would always give me a hard time. Like, since I started the YouTube channel, he would lift me up and tell me what a great job I was doing, and oh, you work so hard, like you're a stay-at-home mom, you take care of 3 kids, and he's like, and 4 kids if you include me. And then the second he gets a chance, or like he gets like moody, or I don't know, I forgot to make ice, let's say. And let's be honest, I forget to make ice sometimes because I don't use ice. So if I don't go in the freezer to get it and I don't know it's empty, then I forget. And I hate that right now I'm explaining to you why I forgot to make ice. But I feel like that kind of says it all. That's what I mean, like when I say that I'm aware of things that have happened and how he was manipulating me, but I still feel the need to explain everything, like all the time. And it's a really heavy burden to feel like you need to explain everything to everybody because you feel like you've done something wrong. Like there's a huge amount of guilt behind why I'm telling you why I didn't make ice. I'm not like weird. I'm not like, oh, I didn't make ice today. Like, you don't care about ice. And I'm still talking about the ice. Like, WTF. So yeah, like he would be upset if I didn't do that, but then he'd be like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm like, well, you could make ice too. But then he would complain he didn't like the ice cube trays that I picked. Or he couldn't do the dishes until I got a sponge that he liked. And it turned into me not wanting any help with cleaning because it kind of gave me a break where I didn't have to be in the room with him, or I didn't need to have a conversation that would most likely turn into an argument of some kind. And so with my cleaning videos, I was like, I can do that. Like, I clean every single day, and I see people on YouTube and moms doing it, and I'm like, I can do that. So I'm doing it, and he's like, oh, you're so good. He's like, yeah, you're so good at it. He's like, I'm so proud of you. And then the second that he gets a chance, oh yeah, you're so good at cleaning. Yeah, people love to watch you fold laundry. What's the matter with you? And I'm like, what do you say to that? Someone who's supposed to be your life partner, who's supposed to support you and care about you, is telling me how stupid my next little venture is. Now maybe it is stupid to think that somebody would want to watch my YouTube channel, or when I had my soap company on Etsy, how stupid it was that I wanted to make soap. Like, ooh, who cares about your soap? Which I needed to stop doing because when he found out that you had to file taxes for it, he didn't want it to mess up the health insurance. So I wasn't allowed to do that anymore, which I loved. If you guys have seen my Instagram, like, I love being creative with that kind of thing, and that was so much fun. But it got to the point where I felt so guilty that I was gonna mess up the kids having health insurance by like bringing in too much income, or the time that it took me to make these things. I was constantly reminded about how it's selfish that I'm in the kitchen making soap instead of either tending to somebody else's needs or cleaning something or whatever it was. I shouldn't have been making soap. And then it got to the point where I just stopped doing it. It just wasn't fun anymore. I just felt like awkward in my own kitchen trying to do something that I loved when somebody was going to be mocking me for it later. And that's what the cleaning videos turned into. And it's almost like he wanted to make me feel good about it just so that he can make me feel that much worse about it when it was the time for him. And so when he was texting me about like eloping and this and that, he's like, let's make a relationship video and we'll talk about our family and like this, and we can do DIYs together. And I'm like, he done lost his damn mind. Like I feel like I've gone crazy reading his text messages. And so when these kind of things, like, and it's not just during the day, it's like last night he texted me at midnight and then he called me and I'm like, again, I didn't answer, but I'm like, how is that okay? Like, I can understand if it was a person who didn't understand why their family left, because I can definitely put myself in his shoes where if my children were gone, I would say and do whatever I could to get them back. But I would also never put myself in the position to where they would leave me. And that's where we differ. I feel like I can't put myself in his shoes because he would rather be drinking, or he would rather be with his friends, or driving around doing whatever it is that he does when he's not home. I don't even know. Because he would just say, oh, I'm at my parents' house. I'm at my parents'. And I'm like, okay. It got to the point where I just didn't ask anymore because I was sick of the lies. And it's like, I don't even know if you guys are still hanging out because I'm 27 minutes in and I feel like I haven't even touched the issue, you know? It feels better to talk about it. I can definitely tell you right now, it's making me sick thinking about posting this video. My eyes kind of hurt from staring at the ring light, and I'm kind of waiting for my nephew to wake up wondering where anybody is. But it's 10:45 at night and I have a hard time sleeping, so I'm usually up watching YouTube or editing videos or talking to my friends, which is a nice change. He would always do this thing where I said, like, I had a friend of mine, she's been a really good friend of mine since 4th grade when she moved to Massachusetts, and she wanted to bring her son up when he was, I think he was 2 or 3. And I told my boyfriend about it, and I was like, oh yeah, my friend's coming up. And I was like so excited because I hadn't seen her in so long and she'd never been to our house. And he was like, since when did you have a friend Danielle? Sorry, I didn't know if I should say her name or not, but it came out. And I was like, oh my God, she's been my friend since elementary school. And I'm like, I haven't seen her forever. He thought he would always say this. And I thought it was just his way of being a jerk at the time. But in retrospect, it was his way to make me feel like I was wrong about whatever I was saying. Like the whole gaslighting thing. Like he would go, weird. And he would say it just like that. Like more than once, he would say it over and over again. And can you imagine if your boyfriend that while he is, I'm sorry, my phone just said something. I don't know what's happening. You're just telling your boyfriend that your friend is gonna come up and hang out with you for the day. He wasn't even gonna be home. He was gonna be at work, and I think that might have been the problem, actually, because he wouldn't be there to like see what was happening and all that. That didn't occur to me before. But I'd be like, my friend Danielle's coming up, and she's gonna bring her son, and our youngest was, I think, 1 at that point. So I was like, it'll be so exciting, and I haven't seen her in so long, so I was gonna make her lunch. And so after the little like weird like initial argument, after she had come up to visit and she went home, he was like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days later, it came back up like, oh yeah, like get some weird random friend, that's so weird. And it was like a whole thing, and it would come up in arguments weeks and months later. I'm like, why is it bad? And that was the only time that I had her over. And my best friend from kindergarten, she had come up once before to hang out, and she stayed like really late, like into the next morning. We were like playing card games and hanging out with the kids and stuff. And he just had a problem with that, but not to the extent of my other friend, but because he was home when my friend from kindergarten had come. So he was able to like monitor what was happening and the goings on and all that. So my point was, I'll stay up pretty late and I'll talk to them on the phone and just kind of chit chat, or I'll text them and just like scroll through the internet and stuff. I'm usually up until 1 or 2 in the morning. And then my nephew wakes up around 6, right before my sister gets home because she works the night shift. So yeah, like I don't know. I find myself in a very weird position in life right now. We're looking for a home, and I don't know if you could hear that. That's the dryer. I also am excited that I can put a load of laundry in the washing machine at like 8 o'clock at night, and that's okay. Like before, everybody went up to bed when he went up to bed, and then that was it. Like most people come downstairs and you guys do like your after dark cleaning, or you come downstairs and you watch a movie, or like you have dinner after the kids go to bed. There was none of that. And I'm like, I like to go to bed early sometimes, but I'll tell you, it is refreshing to stay up after the kids go to bed and to just kind of have time. Like, I don't know, like I don't even know what to do. Mostly I think because I have like a little bit of insomnia. And it's just kind of nice that if I wanted to, I could sit down and watch a movie. Or like I said, I can run laundry, and it's not like gonna upset anybody because the dryer is too loud for him to sleep. I don't know, so I kind of feel like there's this line between, and I'm like kind of straddling it, where on one side I feel completely free from the manipulating, the lying, the stories, the guilt. And then on the other side of the line, I feel completely consumed by it. And I don't really know when that will end. Like, I'm kind of hoping soon, but that's probably not the case. Because just like throughout the day, I'll have things that I thought were just memories, but my sister actually sent me something the other night. It was like a little icon. Like, I don't know what they're called. It's not a meme, but it's just like the little background, and then it has words on it. And it was like PTSD symptoms. And I'm like, there is no way that poor me, after 10 years of being with somebody, I have PTSD. And I understand you need to go get evaluated and all that to be diagnosed with anything at all. But right now I'm not comfortable going into anywhere with the whole COVID situation. That makes me extremely nervous because I have 3 kids. And so she sent that to me, and I'm reading like the symptoms and stuff, and I'm like, I just started crying like right away. I don't even know why. I was reading it and it was like the guilt and the I can't even tell you what they were. Like, I would look at it for reference, but I'm recording on my phone. But I do remember a few of them were like flashbacks, and that's what I was saying. I really thought that I was having memories, but then if you look up what a flashback is, it's literally an entire memory. Like, you felt like you were there, you can recall the entire thing, and it makes your heart race, and it makes my stomach turn thinking about it, whatever it is in the moment. And they're super sudden. Like, my sister could be telling me about something about her day or talking about something, and just one word out of whatever she said will remind me of something that either my boyfriend had said, or that transpired during an argument, or something that I had said because of something that he did, or whatever. It could be anything, and it will cause an entire chain reaction in my brain where I need to roll through an entire memory. And it's kind of nice. It's definitely not welcome, but it has definitely been helping me to realize different things. Like I'm trying to sit here and think, like, to give examples of like how things were or whatever, but the flashbacks make me realize, like, oh, and then as soon as I feel it, I say it out loud, and whoever I'm sitting with is like, that's not okay. Like, and I'm like, I know that now. I feel like the really sharp break between us is just what I needed to see things for what they were. And I think it got that way because I could see him acting that way towards our kids. He definitely picked favorites. And since we got back from last time, you could tell he wasn't texting things that were mean, because I had saved text messages last time for proof. So he couldn't tell me that I was making it up. And so he stopped doing that, and then he kind of would pick one child over the other, and he kind of done that his whole life. And that's what I mean about like realizing things. I kind of noticed more right before we left just what was happening. There was like a complete emotional detachment from him where I was done, and I had no emotion except to get out of there with my kids. And it wasn't a physical situation. This was 100% emotional and verbal and mental, and it was just terrifying. And I just don't know how they're going to come through it. One child feels hurt that we're not at home anymore. Like, obviously our toddler, he's 3. He's very sad that he doesn't have like his toys. And obviously when you have a home, there's a feeling in it, and he doesn't have that here because it's my sister's house. So he misses that, and I miss it. I miss walking into our home, which was never my home, because he made sure to put everything in his name. Now, he had the house himself when we met, but he was unwilling to like put my name on the deed. We were supposed to be together forever, but he was not even entertaining the idea of putting my name on the deed, or we had 2 cars, but they were both in his name. The cell phones were in his name. Any bill that comes to the house is in his name, and that was all because it was his money. He worked for it, and it was his money. But then when he was in a real chipper mood, it was, oh, you don't need to ask to buy that. Like, I would literally be at the store, and I would text him like, oh, can I get a tank top? Because mine are like literally the straps would be like ripped, and there's like holes in it because I've had it for 7 years. Oh, can I get a $4 tank top? Oh, you don't have to ask. And I would say, yes, I do. And I'd be like, can me and the kids get vitamins? Because that was like an extra expense for him. It was like he didn't care about taking vitamins, so it wasn't important. So when I wanted to get vitamins for myself and the kids, it was like an unnecessary cost. So I would have to ask, like, can we get vitamins? Like, can you afford it this week? Oh, you don't need to ask. I'm like, if I got home and I had $25 worth of vitamins and a tank top, you would never let me go back to the store again with your debit card. Because yes, I used his debit card to go shopping, because we did not have a joint account either. And he would flip a switch if I had come home without asking to buy certain things. And the same went for like shampoo or bubble bath or anything like that. But then when he was like in a chipper mood, he would make sure to say, oh, you can get whatever you want. You don't need to ask. But then when he was mad, it was, oh yeah, because this face cream is going to make you look, oh yeah, put that on. You'll look way younger. And there would be lots of comments about being overweight. And then when we were done arguing, he would be like, yeah, well, you just get me really mad, and then I just say things that I know will hurt you. And it's like, why? You know? Why would you want to make your significant other hate themselves inside and out because we were in an argument? And I did get to that point. It's been 10 years of those kinds of arguments. Of course, I got to that point. So I, at this point, have a really difficult time with self-care in general. Like, I wanted to go vegan a few months back because I was all like upset about the whole animal thing, and I was like, you know what, I think it might just be something fun to try, like something new. And he didn't want me to go vegan because he was worried on Thanksgiving we wouldn't have the turkey. So that didn't last. And then, like, even now, like, I remember a time so vividly, a couple weeks before we left, that I wanted to wear a sheet mask. Like, everybody was up tucked into our room. The kids had their air mattress, and we were climbing into bed to watch a movie. And so I have my sheet mask in my hand. I didn't put it on yet. And he was like, oh, are you gonna do that right now? And I was like, well, I was gonna climb into bed and then put it on. Like, what? I was like, I don't, and then again, I was explaining myself. I was like, I don't need to wash it off. I was like, I just take it off and that's it. I'm like, I don't need to get back up. And you people out there are like, big deal. Get back up out of bed and do your mask. Go do whatever you want. But to me, it was like I needed permission from him without actually asking for it. It was like, oh, I was gonna do this, and then he was like, actually, that doesn't really work out for me. And that mask sat on my nightstand until the day I packed up my things. I still have it, actually. And I have a hard time, and I'll probably still have it for months to come because I have a very hard time doing things for myself. Now I'm doing YouTube for myself. I think over time was seasoned to believe that if I had taken any moment for myself, it was selfish. It was just downright selfish and unacceptable, because there was always something else I should be doing. Not could be doing, but should be doing. And it just, even when I'm already, like, I feel like I need to multitask. Like, if I'm gonna wear, like, I remember I posted a video where I had the exfoliating foot mask on. And that was the first time I had done anything for myself like that, like self-care, in like 6 or 7 months, probably even more. That's just a total guess. And I had to do it in secret. I literally was filming in secret, so he didn't know that I had a mask on my feet. And I put those socks on so that I was still able to get up and walk around to get people things as they needed it. So nobody would know that I had the mask on, and I couldn't be like, oh, I can't do that, honey. I have a mask on. I can't walk for like an hour or whatever it was. And it was like, I had that mask for weeks trying to figure out when I was going to put it on. And I was even contemplating putting it on after everybody had gone to bed, and I could just put it on while I was in bed and then take it off. But then I was like, oh, you gotta wash it off. So that kind of stopped me from doing that. So when I made that video, I literally was standing in the kitchen and quickly, like, recording, having the mask on, and then I really, really quickly put my socks on so nobody knew that I had it on. How stupid is that? Like, I didn't... Like, I feel like if I'm not doing everything all the time for everybody, then I'm doing it wrong. And then, like, complaining about it right now is making me guilty really bad. Like, there's dishes in the sink that I really want to just get up and wash, but I don't want to be able to not hear the baby when he wakes up over the water. And so that's causing me a lot of stress looking at the dishes. I'm sure you can see my eyes darting back and forth this entire time. It's the dishes I'm staring at. And I'm just hoping that it doesn't last forever. I hope that the last 10 years hasn't made it. And it's like the good years. It's like it was my entire 20s. So I hope that it hasn't made it so that for the rest of my life I'm gonna be over explaining to people, because that's annoying. Nobody wants to hear that. Or I'm gonna be constantly worried about what people think. Like, if somebody posts like a random comment online, I automatically think it's about me, not in like a conceited kind of way, but like a, oh my God, what did I do? I remember when I first joined my YouTube group, I got really upset at somebody who thought that she didn't even think that I wasn't watching the video, but she asked a very simple question to me, and I'm sure you probably don't even remember the situation because it was so silly, but to me, it was like 3 days worth of stress, worrying that you all thought that I was like being fake. And that's so stupid. And you guys, I'm an ugly crier, so let's not do that. So I'm really hoping that as time passes, and hopefully not too much time, that I'll feel like a normal person who I felt like when I was 20, but I was made to believe that I was immature and irresponsible. And I had done everything wrong up until that point, and he saved me. And I would always tell him that he didn't save me. I had a perfectly happy life. But he would make damn sure to tell me that he rescued me from living with my mom when I was 20 when we met. That he straight up rescued me from my mom's house, and he had given me everything, and almost 11 years later and I have nothing. Like I was so happy to be a stay-at-home mom and to take care of my kids and to raise them, and to like recently be redecorating the house because I just love to do that kind of thing. And he liked to make me feel like it was my decision. But right at the end, he made a comment when we were arguing. I was upstairs in bed and I was just laying there like severely sad. I'm not gonna say depressed because that's a clinical term. And I was just laying there and I had nothing left to give that day. And he comes upstairs to continue the argument. And he said that if he called the police right now, they would drag me out of there because it's his house. Now, do I for a second think that the police would drag me out of there after knowing that I'm a resident and I have 3 kids there and I've lived there for 10 years? No, I don't think they would do that. But knowing that he could say that to me and feel okay about it was scary. I didn't think he would do that, but I didn't like that in his mind it was an option. Even if it wasn't something he would ever do, I didn't like that it was a thought that crossed his mind and he said it. And he would get me so overwhelmed and worked up and get the kids being so disrespectful to me because he was disrespectful. And to the point where I would ask them to do something and they would say, I don't have to listen to you. And it's not their fault. And they didn't say that all the time. It was when he was especially mean or cruel on certain days. And he would get the kids worked up like that during an argument, and he wouldn't speak to me. And I didn't feel like speaking to him. And he would just take off. He would just disappear for the day, and then he would come home really late at night. And the kids would just be acting up and acting just like him in that way, being rude to me. And it not only broke my heart to see them acting that way in general, but to see what he was doing to them, where I'm trying to raise 3 decent little men into this world. And as soon as I realized they were turning into him, that was just it. I was like, I could sit there for the rest of my life and sacrifice my happiness and my wants and desires and needs and dreams if it meant that my kids were going to live in a home with both their parents and live a happy life. And the moment I realized that wasn't happening for them, that was it. I could care less about me or if I'm happy. But if my babies aren't happy, what's the point of being a mom? That's the one thing I ever did that I was proud of and that I stood by. So I guess what I'm saying is, I've seen a lot of posts during this quarantine saying that domestic violence is at not a higher rate, it's at the same rate that it was. It's just people are noticing more now. I want you guys to notice. If you're just feeling like maybe you don't know what it is. I didn't at first, but if you just feel like something's off, or you kind of, if you think about it, you don't really have any friends, or you don't really speak to your family, or there's kind of always a reason why you guys don't go to family gatherings, or, you know, it could be anything. But I think that if this didn't occur to me now, who knows how long it would have been, or if I ever would have noticed. But if there's anybody in the same season of life, is that what people call it? The shitty season. I don't like to swear on YouTube. It feels weird. But if there's anybody else who kind of isn't sure if they're in the same boat, the one thing that made me 100% sure was watching the Inner Integration YouTube channel. Her name is Meredith, and she makes you realize things not that weren't there, but that you had no idea were lurking in the shadows. So I will link her channel below, and if maybe you're on the fence about your feelings or what's going on in your life, I don't know, maybe she'll help you too. I don't know if this video is boring or lame. I'm definitely going to be second guessing it at least the next week until it posts. But I feel like it needs to be posted. And I'm sorry, I'm just noticing it's an hour long. So I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry I look like I'm in a mugshot. These are my headphones so I don't have to talk loud because my kids are sleeping. But even now I feel better letting you know what's going on. If it's anything that you would like to be updated on as we go, hopefully we'll be house hunting soon. It's a little difficult when mama got no income, but my family is helping us and I'm so grateful for them, all of them. And I think that's how we're going to be able to start to kind of move on. Right now it's kind of hard because we don't have all of our stuff. We have like necessities and like clothes and a couple of their toys that they really like. But I think for the kids it would be helpful to have their own space. Like my sister's in the middle of remodeling her house and she has 2 kids of her own. So us 4 is definitely extra, and not in the way that I like to consider myself extra or anybody would like to be considered extra, I guess. But I think it would be helpful for them to start to move forward by having their own place and their own room again, and being able to say, this is my home, or let's go home, you know? So right now we're just kind of hanging out here. Hopefully before school starts up again, we're able to find a place and afford a place. Yeah. So, I don't know, let me know if you guys have been through this or know somebody that has and you have maybe a couple words of encouragement. That would always be helpful. I need that constantly throughout the day at this point. Just to kind of keep myself grounded. But I can say that I don't feel like, I feel like the past 10 years were a story because of all the things that had to have been a lie and that were a lie and that were, I don't even know what, because my mind doesn't work that way. But it's sad to think that the past 10 years weren't real. I am so thankful that I have my 3 kids from it. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I would do it again in a heartbeat if it meant I got those 3 babies. And I would still be going through it if it meant that they didn't have to go through it too. But it's 11:30, so I'm going to go say one more good night to my sleeping babies. And could call somebody. But sorry, this wasn't very motivational. It's probably a bit of a downer, this week's video. But hopefully, I don't know. I hope you guys are doing much better than I am today. And I'm taking it minute by minute because that's how quickly, or I guess how slowly this passes. I need to take it minute by minute. But thank you for all who have been there for me and who are there for me now and who have offered support and who have supported me. It means the world to me, and if it's selfish to put this on YouTube, I don't know. But I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna feel guilty about it after, saying nobody wants to know your business. Like, nobody knows who you are. Why are you telling people about your life? But this is just a little bit of me. Hopefully at some point my next life update will be a little more exciting and a little more hopeful. I'm not very hopeful right now. I'm just kind of getting through it. And right now, I can say that I can't wait to wash those dishes and have some coffee. And I don't know am I bouncing? Because I can't stop shaking my leg. Maybe I'm tired or I don't know. I don't really know how to end this video, so I'm just gonna say goodnight and thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I commend you. And I'm sorry for boring you and bringing you down, because it's definitely not an exciting, happy, thrilling video, but it's just what I'm dealing with right now, and that's what YouTube and Instagram is about, right? Letting people in on your world. So welcome to my world. Yay! Alright. Well, good night. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and leave a comment down below if you're new or if you're not new and you just want to say hello. I love reading your guys' comments and getting to know you guys better, and I try to respond to them as quickly as I can. But lately it's been a little bit harder trying to keep up with everything. But I'm doing my best, and that's all anyone can do, right? Their best.